So I wanted to say hi to everybody, and we're here, Isabel and Pamela together, and we're going to be talking about Costa Rican folklore. And I'm wearing my mask just because I want you to recognize me when you see me on campus. This is how you're going to see me with a mask on. So I want you to know what I'm going to look like with a mask. But of course, I'm not going to keep it on. I don't want to be suffocated while I'm trying to present to you guys. But I did want you guys to know what you're going to be seeing and how our spring is going to be advancing. And today I want to share my screen with you guys, and I want to be able to share some information about Costa Rican culture and our folklore. I think it's going to be a great experience for you guys to see kind of what our culture is like. So when we're talking about Costa Rican culture, you kind of have to think about the context of Costa Rica and what us Costa Ricans have grown up with and what we've lived through and all of that. So one of the things to understand a little bit of our culture is to know that our environment, and you're going to see it, all this greenery really does have an impact in how we are. Our long tradition of peace and democracy also has an impact in who we are. One of the things is that Costa Rica has had over 100 years of being a very solid democracy in Latin America. We're a tiny country, like you saw in the orientation in my little presentation of a tiny country. We're very little, but we abolished our army over 72 years ago. And what happened was that the government decided to divert that fund and that information, all that money towards education and healthcare instead. So some of you have put in your comments, I want to find out all about the education system of Costa Rica. I want to find out all about how the decision of not having any military came about. So those of you in Latin American history and Costa Rican colloquium and practically in all of the courses, something will come out in terms of that topic. Our education is free and mandatory since 1870. So there's going to be areas very rural in the mountains where we only have some of our indigenous tribes in Costa Rica that have tiny little schools with one professor, but they're schools and children can get educated. We've ranked second place in terms of stability in Latin American politics, and you'll notice that Costa Ricans tend to be very tranquilos, very peaceful, and it's something that's just part of the culture. We have universal health care. So those of you taking holistic health approaches are also going to be talking a little bit about how there is a traditional healthcare system, pretty well structured, but there's also all the alternative and wellness health approaches that we use in Costa Rica. And that little guy that you see on the screen, the sloth, he really represents a lot of our idiosyncrasy, a lot of how we pretty much take life slowly paced and in a very leisurely way. That is why pura vida is kind of like a life concept. Next Friday, I'm going to have another little session on slang, and it's going to be focused on Costa Rican Spanish. And pura vida is definitely going to be there too, because it's also slang. It's a lifestyle. It's about living the moment, about taking every day and actually seeing the cup half full always, and being positive and being a can-do person, like one of my students in the orientation told me one of these days. Food in Costa Rica, which we're also going to talk about that next Friday, food is something that people really take seriously. It's very Caribbean style, very Latin American style food, but you're going to see that San Jose has tons of different restaurants and tons of different options for you to taste things. And when you're thinking of the typical plate of food in Costa Rica, you think of casado. Casado is the traditional plate for lunch where you have rice, beans, meat, plantain, that delicious ripe fried plantain, salad, and maybe some tortillas. That's usually what a casado is like. For breakfast, we usually have gallo pinto, which is rice and beans mixed up together, eggs, and maybe a slice of cheese, and of course those fried plantains, which are almost like a dessert. They're so delicious. Lots of fruit. If you're a fruit lover, you're going to really enjoy all the tropical fruits that are here in Costa Rica. Mango, banana, papaya, sandía, very juicy pineapples. And hopefully we'll be able to get you guys to sample on campus some of the more exotic and different type of fruits that we know.
Alex, I'm
See?
sorry. Can I ask something?
Yes, definitely.
It's really interesting because Alex just mentioned that we have gallo pinto for breakfast, but the truth is that we love gallo pinto, so we can have gallo pinto for lunch or even dinner. So you will find that this is really funny from us, that we are eating this food all the time. It doesn't matter
True.
the time.
True. The traditional would be breakfast, but all of us could pretty much have gallo pinto for lunch, for dinner, for everything. Ceviche. That's another popular dish that if you're a fish lover, you're going to be able to have here in Costa Rica. And usually they're served with either patacones or pretty much usually patacones. If they don't have patacones in some sort of a little restaurant, they might just give you soda crackers. But when they're served with patacones, it's the best. And it's a fish that's marinated and cooked in lemons, so it's really delicious. Those are the patacones. And patacones are usually served with either black beans or guacamole, and that's the green plantain that's been boiled and then smashed and fried with salt. And it's just really delicious. It tastes completely different from the ripe plantains. Churchill. That's another really typical folkloric type dessert in Costa Rica. And Costa Ricans tend to associate this dessert with the beach, especially with the Pacific coast, because the churchill is almost just like a snow cone. It's shaved ice with a very specific type of syrup called colita. And that syrup is in the ice, and then sometimes in the center, you have what's called leche en polvo. It's kind of like a powder milk, very rich. You can have condensed milk, and then as you see, topped with a vanilla ice cream ball. Not dietetic at all. So it's not something we have a lot, but it is something that we associate with the warm weather of Costa Rica and the beach, and it's kind of fun to have one just to try it out.
Yeah, make sure that you're not having more than one because you're gonna get sick.
Too much sugar. Now I'm going to proudly show you my grandnephew, Evan Estrada. Evan Estrada is a Master Chef Junior season 6. He actually lives in San Diego. He's super proud of he was born in San Diego, but he's super proud of having Costa Rican heritage. And both him and the older grandnephew did this little recording for fun and to practice Spanish with you guys. And they're going to teach you how to make arroz con leche de coco. So it's rice pudding with coconut milk. Super delicious. And you can actually try and make it at home even before you come.
Hola mis amigos, bienvenidos a mi cocina. Hoy vamos a hacer el arroz con leche de coco caribeño. Muchos países en Latinoamérica como Cuba, Puerto Rico, o México, Costa Rica, o Venezuela gustan hacer arroz con leche porque es muy fácil hacer y el arroz es muy barato. Mida una taza de arroz y ahora lávelo. Después póngalo en la olla. Abra la lata de leche evaporada y póngala en la olla también. Abra 2 latas de leche de coco y mezcle la grasa con el agua. Ponga la leche en la olla también. Mezcle todas las cosas en la olla. Ponga una canela de rama. Mida una cucharita de vainilla. Lleve a hervir y pone una media taza de azúcar. Y pone sal a su gusto. Después de estar hirviendo, baje la temperatura y pone la tapa también. Ahora cocina a fuego lento para 30 minutos. Después mezcle el arroz con la leche. Pruébalo. Qué rico. Suave. Agregue las pasas de arándano. Y mezcle la olla. Ponga el arroz con leche en un tazón. Agregue un poquito de canela polvo. Finalmente, póngalo en el refri 2 horas antes de servir. Gracias. Aquí está el arroz con leche de coco caribeño. Y ese es todo, mis amigos.
So those little clowns are my grandnephews, and they're in San Diego. And they did this to have some fun and practice Spanish and show you how to make rice pudding. And even though they say to refrigerate it for 2 hours after and eat it, I kind of like it when it's kind of lukewarm myself before instead of cold from the refrigerator. Now I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Costa Rican folkloric music and folkloric dance. A lot of the folkloric dance and music, not the regular salsa, that's not really Costa Rican born, but the actual folkloric music in Costa Rica comes from indigenous backgrounds and African background. We have a lot of African influence with the instrument that we use. And I'm talking about indigenous animism because you're going to notice that the type of dresses that are used are actually very they imitate like the wings of a bird. Those colors that you see in these dresses are actually the flag of Costa Rica, but a lot of the dresses are actually colors that imitate the toucan and the macaw, and they're very colorful dresses that Costa Ricans use for folkloric. That's the marimba, and the marimba is a percussion type instrument that they use for folklore, and it kind of has that really strong influence of Africa. I was able to find a video. It's not really typical Costa Rican music at all, but it doesn't have a lot of background noise, and it shows you very well the sound of the marimba. So I want to share that with you. So as you can hear, it's beautiful. It's just really percussive. And now you're going to hear it similar, but with other instruments in typical folkloric dance with our indigenous influence and rural. Rural because you're going to notice that look at the beautiful dresses. That's more like the macaw and the toucan colors that they're imitating. The 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 way that the women dance is kind of imitating a bird that's, moving their wings and dancing around. And also some of the noises that are made, you're going to recognize them when you come to Costa Rica in the afternoon, because we have some birds that are called sanates, and they make very similar noises to these type of screeches or screams that you'll hear in typical dancing. So as you can see, a lot of the movements and the noises very related to our relationship with nature, to animals, to the birds. This next tradition, the masquerade traditions, are a tradition of allegorical figures that are actually, those huge masks are handmade, and they represent different types of allegorical characters. So we have death, we have love, we have all sorts of different characters, and people in rural areas have fun making these masks, and the music is really these funky little um, rustic type instrument music, and as they do it just for fun, it's just more for laughing than anything. So all of these handmade masks and everything, they also have contests to see who makes the best mask. Another tradition is the relationship with farm animals. Costa Rica has had a very long tradition of a relationship with farm animals. Oops. What am I doing? I'm doing going the other way. A lot of the farm animals and work animals, and the ox are a very traditional animal that you'll see in some of the rural with the ox carts. And the farmers are super proud of showing their relationship with them. So they take care of them, they wash them. It's a very family tradition that they work with the ox. And as we're going to see, sometimes they're in San Jose, right in the middle of the city.
Mi abuelito toda la vida tuvo bueyes, tuvo trapiche, después siguió mi papá.
We even have what's called the ox cart, which is also part of this ox tradition, is having beautiful hand-painted ox carts. If any of you are familiar with the Dollarhosa from Sweden, you're going to notice there's similarities. This was shown to me by students, some of our students who came and said, we have very similar painting traditions. They have geometrical figures, flowers, animals. Everything's hand painted.
La pintura en la carreta se dio porque a veces tenían que llevar santos de un lugar a otro, entonces lo llevaban en carretas y le ponían flores. Entonces trataron de hacer flores en las carretas. Se fue innovando y unos a otros se iban imitando. Y así le fueron añadiendo hasta que llegó un momento en que ya no se puede hacer más. Cada pintor tiene una característica. Cada uno tiene su sello.
So hopefully you'll be able to go see some of those hand-painted ox carts in a place called Sarchi, which you'll have some of the artisans who paint those carts. And here we have the ox cart parade. Happens quite a bit in Costa Rica, once a year. And this is the one in San Jose. So in the middle of the city, you're going to see the farmers coming with their animals, super proud of showing their carts, their oxes, right downtown San Jose. Everything gets closed.
Algunas de las rifas. Damos un lapicero por aquí. Tengo un numerito aquí para saber quién es uno de los ganadores de un yugo. Un número, un papelito, un número.
So there's even a contest. They're actually competing there to see who has the best ox cart and the best oxes. In other areas, not just in San Jose, but like Escazú and Santa Ana, they'll have their own ox parade, and they really focus on the colorful part of their art, of how they have decorated their carts, and the artistic part and colorful part. So like I said, I hope you'll be able to see some of these carts when you come to Costa Rica. We also, moving on with the animals that farmers used to farm and to work, there's also the horsefilia, the rural cowboy style life of many areas in Costa Rica. And the tope is one of the most traditional events that we have. And it happens at the end of the year. So this year, because of COVID, they won't be having the tope, sadly. But this is a tradition that's happened in Costa Rica. So as you can see, just very proud animal horse owners who really enjoy showing their animals and parading them for all of us to go see these beautiful specimens. And in a place called Palmares. This is a party town in January, and these parties that they have in January, they also have a tope, and they have the horses, and they also have a traditional choreography of the Farmers Youth Association. So everybody's usually waiting to see what the choreography is going to be all about. And it's a lot of fun to see a lot of the young people doing this choreography. So I'm going to show you a little bit of this choreography. So I hope you guys learn how to dance during our dance classes and are able to also do a choreography for us. That would be a lot of fun. I now wanted to switch to the other and last part of what impacts our culture, and that's nature. I think Costa Rica for so long has been a green culture, and the connection that Costa Ricans have with nature has impact a lot of us. I think there's a lot of elements in nature that shape the way we see life. So I wanted to show you a little bit of that.
When I was a kid, I used to stare out the car window and pretend that I was flying. There was no car, no road, just me, darting in and out of the trees, over the hills, over the streams. Let's just stare out the window for a while.
Lots of water. It rains so much in Costa Rica. We have so many clean beaches have become a way of life for all of us. Alex. And of course, we went to Greek practices,
Alex,
sustainable farming.
Alex, Alex,
Yes.
we're not able to hear you very well. We only, well, at least I can only hear the sound of the video, and that's it.
It's really important to listen to the sound of the video, not the words.
I'm not hearing you at all right now.
Reels, Greek life, volcanoes. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the view of Costa Rica from above, its natural lifestyle, everything that there is to experience, and of course, that you will experience as well when you come and be with us. And hopefully you'll be able to see a lot of that green, luscious Costa Rica, the mountains, the volcanoes, the beaches, and everything there is to experience. We are really looking forward to having you and hopefully be able to do a lot of these activities with you. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And if you have chance, and next Friday, you can join us for another half hour. I'm going to be talking about Costa Rican slang, el español en Costa Rica, and telling you a little bit about the nuance of our accents and how we talk and how we speak. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend and stay in touch through the orientation and the messages you keep sending me, and hopefully I'll see you next Friday. Hasta luego, Isabel. Hasta luego, Pamela.
Adiós, gracias.
Ciao.
Bye bye.